In this video, I wanted to give you a better idea why you need to use larger, or should I say wider, pieces of lumber when you're laying out your stair stringers. And what I did here was I took and laid out a stair stringer on a 2 by 10. So we have 9.5 inches from here to here. And if you could imagine, this is one of the reasons why we don't want to um, lay out stair stringers on smaller pieces of wood. It's because this area right here really thins out. And if you could imagine a larger knot, let's just say in this area here, anywhere in this area, if you could imagine a larger knot, we would really create a weak point on the stringer. So realistically, there are a few things you're going to need to look out for while laying out your stair stringer, and one of those will be to stay away from large knots in this area. The second, of course, would be to make this area here a little too small. Now, if I was just going to be building a 2 or 3 step stairway, up to a small landing, something like this might be acceptable. And when I say might, I've never done it and probably never will, to give you an idea of just exactly where I stand on that. But I have seen it plenty of times where someone will have use a 2 by 10 for something like this, and it lasts for a long time. And of course, this is the upper part here, and again, I did it to where you could see there are no knots here. This is the ideal situation here for any stair stringer to have is few knots or no knots in this area. This area is critical here, because you could just see if there was a knot here. Let's just say there was a knot about this wide with the circle of my arrow here, and we had a small split come over to the knot, and then the knot weakens, then realistically we've got a weak area. If that goes in either direction, then we will have complete failure of the stair stringer. And of course, here's a tape, and I know it's a little fuzzy here. You can see it's about 3 3/4 inches of wood left over, be the equivalent of a 2 by 4 that you would be walking up on, if you could imagine that. If you took a 2 by 4 and nailed triangles on top of it, which would represent this area here of the stairway, then that's all you would have, and that's not going to be good. If you stood on top of a 2 by 4 or with a heavy load, it's probably going to break, and especially if you had something that was long. If you could imagine a stair stringer laid out on a 2 by 10, for example, that was going to be about 16 foot long, you could end up with a weak stairway. Now, if you do build something like that, don't forget you could always build some walls or support the stairway in another way. As long as you had supports at the right intervals of a long stairway, then that wouldn't be a problem. And of course, that would be more of a suggestion for anyone who has a stairway that is already built out of 2 by 10 and they might need to reinforce it in one way or another. Now here you can see I laid out the stringer and cut it, because I was using this for my example on one of my stair building books. I believe it was the Simplified Stair Building book. And you can see here that I cut the notch out, and we have 5.5 inches instead of 3.5 inches, which makes sense, right? We have another 2 inches because the board is 2 inches wider. If we would have used a 2 by 14, then of course we would have had 7.5 inches, and of course that would be like standing on top of a 2 by 8. One would be a 2 by 6. This one here, the 2 by 10 would represent a 2 by 4 with only 3.5 inches of meat left on the board. And of course a 2 by 14 would be 7.5 inches, or a 2 by 8. Now here's a large knot. This is the knot, this is kind of what I'm talking about here. You could run into, if you had this knot located over here, you've got a weak spot. You can already see the knot starting to crack here. it already has a crack. If you could just imagine this crack getting a little larger, or if this knot was rotated, let's just say, about 45 degrees. Instead of a line coming this way, we would now have a line coming at an angle like this. And if that was located over here, then that could be a problem. Now, that wasn't the reason why I made the video, the knots. That's just kind of a little bonus info. I've mentioned that before in some of my other videos. The main reason why I'm making this video is just to point out that how weak you could actually create a stair stringer or a set of stairs if you don't have enough meat in this area.